Hi, I'm Jaminate, entertainer, essayist, revivalist. This is the Kanda Show, the Story of My Mind series. The aim of this show is to fortify, cultivate, and provide moral support for the losing dystemic man. Welcome.
Then did it again, go. Jaminate, 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 Jaminate. Jam into the pain, jam into the rain. Never been the same. Jaminate again.
I'm a millennial who's been around for 3 decades now, and I've interacted with at least 1,000 men to the point of seeing differences in masculine models. Masculinity has gradually become a hot topic that most of society would rather shun away from, raising pertinent questions like male disposability. Judging by the intriguing nature of masculine psychopolitics that's evident by the manosphere, ranging from black, red, blue, green, purple pills, I would like to attempt to answer, in essence, what a man is. I'll start by claiming a man is a socioeconomic performer, a miracle worker. Much like Jesus, man made airplanes to fly on thin air, bridges to walk on water, fast cars and bullet trains, making the world a global village. Man turns water into wine, and many more amazing things. A man is a biological entity whose phenomena has a tripartite dichotomy. A man essentially is 3 things. A man is his word, his logos. There's quite a bit to debunk there, which I'll get back to later on. A man also is a tool, an agent. Lastly, a fool. A man is inherently born without value. Lying in wait is the inevitable existential burden of performance to perform some distinct economic miracle as he comes of age. In the baby boomer era of the 60s and 70s, a newborn baby boy used to be the pride of the whole community. But in this era, the ground has shifted significantly, as the risk of being a redundant male seems to be growing vastly all over the world. This reality no longer lingers in the horizon. It's an everyday reality that every man has to constantly grapple with. Though there are several factors to credit for the prevalence of those systemic incompetencies, the malignance of capitalism and the hustle culture has men feeling shoved at a corner, having to compete for less and less capital. The myth that hard work begets money is becoming less and less valid, especially with the ever-increasing cost of living. This leaves men at the mercy of whom you know. It's no longer what you know. Social trends like the rise in hookup and hoe cultures, as we see with OnlyFans and half-naked Insta models and other social media apps, show a decline in the moral fabric, as most people are choosing to compromise and optimize the hedonic social media treadmill, out of the fear of missing out, commonly abbreviated as FOMO. Still on the man the tool, men bear a heavy burden for self-improvement for very basic reasons, one being self-sustenance and familial providence. These are not optional for men, as would be the case for some women. With the rise of egalitarianism, which ideally is a marvelous socioeconomic stimulant, it has its downsides. With more women rising the corporate ladder, and in competition, some engaging in more compromising libertarian hustle antics, institutions like marriage slowly becoming redundant, as everyone claims they are only trying to survive the tyranny of capitalism or simply striving for the good life. But the road or the destination that's the good life is not clearly defined. I mean, how much money is enough money, and how long do we have to work for it? Times are hard for the younger men. The burden to outdo our predecessors is incrementally high, also pushing women to that direction when it comes to dating, going for the older widowers, divorced, married, more accomplished men. What I mean is that the game is rigged. The older men have had the advantage of time to amass more wealth and resources. So, for the man the tool, especially the younger man, you constantly have to reinvent yourself, self-cultivate intensively to stay relevant, for every man rises to their own level of incompetence. Lawrence J. Peters. And that is the daunting gist of being a man. When you rise to your own level of incompetence, it could be purely based on anything, at worst. It could simply be the fact that you are born genetically male. That in itself could put you down, And what I mean by that is that there are men who are born with certain difficulties or disabilities, or are able differently, we may call them that, and they just may appear to have failed the genetic lotto. And for that, I know their existence, may be kind of rough to them. I may have no exact clue, but judging from my own experience and my challenges, I wonder people who have less than me what do they really have to deal with? So, lastly, the man, the fool. This is the facet of manhood where the man either has had his self-identity disintegrated and faced his ego death and therefore is acutely aware of the futility of his existence, his limitations and incompetencies. And on the flip side, there is the man who still dwells in the bubble of idyllic asceticism, that all things are possible, and you can be anything you set out to be. The thing is, as David Allen put it, you can be anything but not everything. Whichever stage of life you're in, this existential crisis is inevitable. Choosing to give up or rising to the occasion has its own diminishing returns. Example, when you get into a fitness gym as a newbie, you realize there are endless weights that you can lift. But after months or even years of consistent weightlifting, you'll eventually hit your potential's limit. This life is a massive social experiment. As such is the masculine experience. At some point, your preferred skill or passion will meet its extinction burst, and you have to become an idiot and foolishly keep pivoting and oscillating in different hustle ventures. Along with that, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears will be expended. Burnout and adrenal fatigue may be all you're left with. With regard to the pursuit of purposeful living, status, and value creation, I have taken note of the antithetical rise to your level of incompetence as Kenyans. There has been an ever-increasing exodus of citizens moving to the diaspora, including some of my favorite artists like Calvo Mistari, Christoph, Nonini, Njoro Comedian, David the Student, just to mention but a few. I also fled to the Gulf, also facing the same redundancies back home, seeking economic asylum out here, and I won't lie, it's not been easy. East or west, home is always best. But judging from what's going on back home, I'm also very confused whether I should go back or stick around here for some time, because things aren't looking really nice from out here. You know, we are far away. From a distance, things aren't looking good. But I'm hoping things are okay back home. It's just a hope. But from whatever we are seeing going on in our country, and it's confusing whether we should stay out here or go back home. It's hard to decide. Anyway, shout out to Team Strong out in the Gulf and any other part of the world. This is the Kanda Show Story on My Mind series. Stay tuned as I get into the next subject matter, the man, the word, the logos, exploring concepts around the Phoenix gene, God gene, and how to stay self-cultivated while going through your own subjective existential dread. Peace. See you on the next one. I hope I did justice to this first beat.